Hey, Aaron here with Sam Big Law Life and Legacy Planning. I want to talk to you a little bit about trademarks. I've got a new article up on the blog about this, and that gives you a few steps to get your mark registered. I'm not going to talk about those steps. You can look at that blog article for that information. But I want to talk a little bit about what a trademark is, because I think sometimes there's a little bit of confusion about what it is. To do that, I'm going to start by explaining the three different types of intellectual property that the federal government will protect. You've got patents. So you think about a design or an invention. The light bulb is something that you could patent. If you've got, a new combine head that's got new technology as part of it, that's something that you can patent. Vehicle parts, computer parts, also processes. If you create a really unique process or a way of completing a task, that sometimes can be patented. So a patent is an invention or a process that's unique. A copyright is more of a work of art or creativity. It doesn't have to be art in the way that we typically think of it as paintings and music. Those certainly are copyrightable, but it can be even articles that you write to the degree that they're creative. If it's just relaying information, that's typically not going to be copyrighted. But if you've got any sort of like literature, a short story, something like that, if you create an artistic design that you use in your business, that can be copyrighted. So it's a creative work of some kind. Trademarks are what I'm talking about today. Trademarks are that brand identifier, okay? A trademark can be a name, but so many businesses have names that in and of themselves are not unique enough to be trademarked, but the way that they display that name might be trademarked, okay? So if you've got something like Shell, okay, Shell Oil Company, the way they designed their logo, we all recognize, or at least once upon a time, we all recognize the Shell Oil Company brand. The term Shell may or may not be unique enough, and I don't actually know if the name Shell was trademarked, but their brand identifier, that logo, certainly would be, okay? Now, if you've got a very unique and creative name, that name alone might be something you can trademark, but typically it's the combination of your visual display of the name along with the name that is the trademarked thing. Great examples are Coca-Cola or Nike. Coca-Cola is not a term that you're going to use in any other circumstance. Nike, it's got some ancient Greek ties, but typically it's not something that people are going to use in everyday English language. And so that combination of the name Nike along with their swoop, or Coca-Cola, the way they've just got the cursive writing for Coca-Cola, those are both trademarked, and those are obviously very valuable assets to those companies. Imagine if I could create my own brand of soda or just any product and put Coca-Cola on it. That would be harmful to Coca-Cola's business. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what a trademark is. It can also include color combinations. Anything that you use to create and identify your brand or your company to the public is, roughly speaking, under the umbrella of trademark. Now, in order to get a trademark, you've got to do research and make sure that you've actually got a unique brand or name. You've got to make sure that it doesn't conflict potentially with somebody else, okay? So you don't automatically get a trademark just because you're operating a business with a logo. But if you've got a unique name, unique logo, that is something maybe that you can trademark. Now you got to do some research. You got to go through a federal registration process. Something that people often don't realize is that even if they haven't federally registered a trademark, they still have some protections. There's what's called common law protections. And this is given to you just by using your brand name in commerce. Now, when does that start? If I've been in business for a week, is that enough? Probably not. 6 months? Maybe. Depends on how extensively I've done business. If I've been using the same brand and logo for about 5 years, you're going to get common law protection for that. But your common law protections are a lot more narrow and a lot more limited than a federally registered trademark, okay? So the difference is probably going to show up mostly in my brand. If I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, might be recognized within the Minneapolis area. And so I would be protected against competitors that want to use my brand or my name or something in the Minneapolis area and maybe a radius around it. But I probably couldn't prevent them from using that same brand name in Florida if I haven't already done business in Florida. Now, if I go and I federally register my trademark or my brand and I get it trademarked, then I can protect against that new company in Florida. Okay, so why would you use this? Not every business needs to protect their brand name, but many more businesses ought to protect their brand name than think they need to. One of the questions you can ask yourself is, am I a growing business and a growing company where people being able to identify me by my name or my logo is going to be important in that growth process? Do I have a reputation here that I want to start expanding geographically or into new market segments? If the answer is yes, you're probably going to benefit from that trademark protection. If you have a business that you want to sell or pass on to somebody else, you're not going to grow it necessarily, but somebody else may want to at some point in time. That is a good reason to protect that name because that value goes along with the business to the new owner. If you're in a market that's quickly getting saturated with newcomers, I think of in Minnesota in the last 10 to 15 years, breweries. Okay, you might have done business under one name, but if you don't protect it, somebody else could start coming in and chipping away at your ability to use that. And so you stay small and eventually you want to grow, but now you can't grow because somebody else has taken up that space with a similar name. Okay, they're in a different city than you, but now you can't expand into that city with your name. So again, any concept or consideration for expansion or growth down the road. Those are a few of the reasons you might want to protect it. You might just like it and want to make sure that you've got it protected because you don't want anybody, honing in on your territory. Whatever the reason would be, let me know if you got questions about any of this. There's tons of information online, but I'd love to have you help you walk through considerations for is it worth it and what would that process look like for you. So if you got questions, reach out by email, phone, whatever works best for you, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.